I was hanging out in the student union, doing some Chem 1 homework, when someone ran up by me, holding their hand over their mouth. Puke spewed through the cracks of their fingers, some of it spilling onto my shoes. They ran off soon after, still covering their mouth with one hand, but holding the other over the rest of their face, with their head tilted down as they ran out the front door. It was the beginning of a campus endemic, and none of the campus medical staff had a clue what was going on. Soon, everyone was getting sick, myself included. I woke up one morning with this awful cramp in my stomach. It never went away, like a chronic ache. I tried over-the-counter gas relief, some Pepto, various other things, with zero results. I was losing weight, maybe a half-pound a day. I couldn't eat anymore. I started getting weak and never wanted to leave bed. Within a week of Union Girl's episode, my entire dorm was sick. The RAs urged us to stay inside and kept close watch, but they got sick too. Nobody was spared. I remember needing to refill my water jug. I must have stared at the ceiling in my room for 10 minutes, trying to avoid the inevitable. It hurt to walk. It hurt in places I don't even want to share, nor do I think you'd want to know. Too much information. As I was limping to the water fountain down the hall, my blanket tied around my neck and draped over both shoulders like a cape, I saw a girl sitting on the hallway floor, with her head hanging towards the ground, chunks of vomit splayed on her lap and legs. Had nobody seen her? No way I was the only one. God help her. It was like the end of times. God was judging us for all the partying and the boozing, and she must have done a lot of that. She was practically dead by the looks of her, though she was breathing, but barely. The dean called for the suspension of classes, along with what he called a strict closed-door policy. Unaffected campus medical staff, along with campus police, would regulate traffic inside and outside dorm walls. You basically couldn't leave your room unless absolutely necessary, like needing medical attention. It was like being in one of those Japanese internment camps from the 40s. Food was handed carefully through the door, rounds of check every hour. They treated everyone as if they were sick, symptoms or no symptoms, and there was no getting out of it. I was sitting on the toilet, expecting another episode of explosive diarrhea, when I felt something shift inside me. I could hear someone in the hallway running. Then I heard them yell, "It's worms! Freaking worms!" The time could not have been more coincidental. Whatever it was that shifted inside me dropped into the toilet with a light, wet slap. I parted my legs and took a peek. It was a long, off-white string, maybe a foot long and as thin as copy paper, and it was moving. Something else shifted inside me, so I jumped from the seat, forgetting to wipe myself and pulling my pants and underwear back up before sprinting for the door. I passed out soon after. I finally finished my freshman year of college, and the summer came and went. I found an apartment that housed incoming sophomores and juniors off campus. The rooms were nice, and I figured it would be a great place to settle for the upcoming semester. The rates for the single-bedroom spaces were expensive, so I settled for one of the 2 bedrooms, which meant I'd have a roommate. Since I didn't have any friends to share it with, the complex provided a form that I could fill out that would pair me with the best roommate. The form had questions concerning personality, routine, whether you pulled all-nighters or went to bed at 7 p.m., whether you were social, so on and so forth. Move-in day had arrived, and there was no sign of a roommate, yet. A few days later, they showed up. He was this dainty little guy, as big as a bag of potatoes, no taller than Kevin Hart. There was no way this guy was 18. Dude looked 12. I offered to help him and his parents carry all of his stuff in, to which his parents humbly declined. He and I never exchanged words for the entirety of our cohab. I didn't even get his name. He locked himself in his room, and that was that. So much for trusting some stupid form. Maybe I could send a complaint to the office. I rarely ever saw him come out of his room. Classes had started, and somehow he'd just slip under the radar, because I never did see him leave for class. Maybe he never went. I really don't know. It got weirder when I overheard him talking dirty in his room. He didn't seem to care if I heard him, and the walls weren't that thick. There was no way he was talking to another girl. You'd have to pay a chick to come back home with him. I got real close to the door, the side of my face slightly pressed up to it. I was revolted at the conversation, making gagging gestures with my finger shoved in my mouth, then laughing in my head. I should submit him to TLC. They'd eat this up. Every night, I'd hear him talking dirty to that girl. I could only imagine what was going on in there. Then I realized I've never actually been in there. Maybe I could catch him when he leaves and sneak in. Oh, the horrors I'd find in that room. I was like a fly on the wall. I sat close to my bedroom door in hiding. Soon, my opportunity came. I could already see what was in there. Nudie mags and DVDs piled up to the ceiling, one of those body pillows with some anime girl printed on it, maybe some used toys I'd most definitely need gloves for. I had just one shot at this. It was all or nothing. I confirmed he left and waited for a few minutes to make sure he didn't come back, maybe forgetting something he'd left. Once I felt sure, I left the room. His door was locked, but I had a few tricks up my sleeve. I took my debit card and jammed it into the latch bolt until it shifted out of the strike. I felt like Agent 007 off Wish. To my surprise, the room smelled clean, because it was. The bed was made, no cans on the nightstand or his computer desk. Definitely no nudie mags or body pillows in sight. But his Apple computer was unlocked and a tab open on Tor browser. I scrolled up and down the webpage and freaked. Dude was on a site where you paid to watch people get tortured. That's nuts. I left the window just like I found it and got up from the desk. Last place was the bathroom. Then I was out of there. Spread out across the countertop were things I guessed that girl left behind. Panties, lipstick, bra, etc. Must be a girlfriend, I thought. Something hung on the shower curtain rod. It looked like a wig, but I wasn't sure. It was. His computer started dinging left and right. I ran back over and saw he was getting messages on WhatsApp. This is where it all comes together, guys. I opened the app. There was no girlfriend. He was the girlfriend. He was sending pictures of himself all dressed up and cosplaying some internet bimbo for money. I closed out of the app, left the room, and went up to the office to request a room change. I never got one, and I was stuck with that weirdo for an entire semester. Screw that stupid apartment complex, and screw that stupid form. College started only 2 weeks ago as I write this. I settled into my dorm and met my roommates when someone knocked on the door. It was the resident assistant. "Hi, I'm James." He took his hand out for a shake. "Just checking in. Do you guys have everything you need?" he said. "I think we're good," I replied. "Well, just holler. Our desk is down the hall, first right. One more thing before I go. If you hear a knock past midnight, don't answer it. Also, no girls past midnight either." He smiled. I didn't know whether to take him seriously, so I smiled back. "No problem." I closed the door soon after. My roommate, Ryan, was looking back from his bed. "What was that about?" he said. "Just the RA being weird. Said not to answer the door past midnight." "Should we anyway?" he smirked. Lying in bed, Ryan sound asleep on the bunk below me. I couldn't help but be wide awake. Don't answer the door past midnight. I couldn't help but anticipate it. It was a long night, but the knock never came. Every night I waited. Every night, eyes wide open in the dark. I didn't want to miss it. There was an off-campus house party 2 of my buddies were attending. I don't drink, but man, they managed to peer pressure me into going. We arrived at 8. By 10 p.m., I was seeing doubles and nearly blacking out. I don't know how I got back to my bed, but I did. Nothing short of a miracle, I suppose. Ryan got a kick out of seeing me puke my eyeballs out. If the water in the toilet was where I aimed, the seat is where it landed. Kinda hard when there's 2 of them. By midnight, I was lying in bed, lulling in and out of sleep. The world twisted around my head, even with my eyes closed. Then came a knock on the door. "Durr, durr," I mumbled. I couldn't answer it if it meant a bullet in my head. The knock got louder. like someone was running into the door. I could hear Ryan climbing down to go answer. I'm coming. Chill before you break my door." I fell asleep. Waking up was the worst. I had an 8 a.m. and my head felt like someone borrowed it to play basketball. My throat felt like I drank a tub of acid. My roommate was gone, and I had so many questions. He must have left to get breakfast before classes. I popped some ibuprofen and hopped in the shower, and stood with it pouring down my face for a solid 10 minutes. I was going to dread the day. Class sucked, to say the least. The overhead fluorescents in the hallways and the classroom penetrated my eye sockets, made my head buzz. I was still thinking about last night, so I texted Ryan. It was towards the end of the day, and I was finally going back to my room. Still no text from my roommate. How could he leave me hanging like that when he knows how much I'm dying to find out what happened when he answered the door? I must have sped walked all the way back to the dorm. When I got into the room, nobody was there. I checked my phone. 5 p.m. He's always here first. Where is he? I gave him a call. No answer. I called again. No answer. He didn't show up the entire night. The next morning, he still wasn't there. This time I skipped classes so I could catch him back in our room. It's now been an entire week, and he's still not here. I got a knock last night, and I nearly answered. Was it him? I really don't think so. I'm afraid of what's on the other side.